If you're a heat and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, what's the way that you self-induce a sales slump, and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Silverbell, coming to you live for HVAC Technician Sales Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento. All right, so here's what happens, is there are natural cycles to business. You got the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs. Sometimes it's a season, sometimes it's just marketing, sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's everything above. But it's your role and your responsibility to stay on top and keep closing deals no matter what. So here's what happens. You go out and you have an appointment, and it is slower in the season for whatever reason. And you meet with Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, and you're trying to build some traction. You're trying to build some rapport. So you've got all sorts of different things that you can talk about. There is the acronym formal: family, occupation, recreation, material possessions, alliances, locations, and even S for situations. And so instead of you getting into the world of the client, you get into your world. You start talking about why you're so great. You start talking about why you're so amazing. You start talking about you. You start pounding your chest. You start talking about your awards. You start talking about how big your house is. You start talking about how many vacations you take, right? Because what you're looking for is meaning. You're looking for some sort of belief in yourself. You're looking for that feeling of like, I'm important. But in all reality, the person that you're talking to is the important person because they're your client. You're like, hey, Scott, does this happen in other industries? Yes. Right? Does this happen in all the services? Absolutely. This mistake happens for all salespeople because we, including me, because I've done this, want to feel like, hey, what I have to offer is special. What I do is special. And because the focus turns inward and turns on me, or turns inward on you, we, including me, start having multiple conversations about I'm cool, I'm awesome, I'm great. And we're thinking that that's impressing the buyer. We're thinking that the buyer's like, oh, you salesperson are an amazing dude or an amazing chick. Why don't you high five me? Why don't you let me sign on the dotted line? I want 10 of them right now. I'm willing to pay cash. I'm willing to pay extra too. But it just doesn't happen. And this right here is why you should join HVACTechSecrets.com. I'll give you the goods. Not in the Facebook group, not in the YouTube channel. So if you're like looking at a sales slump, if you're sitting here thinking like, hey, I'm in the middle of a sales slump, one of the questions you should absolutely be asking is, how often am I talking about myself? How much am I talking about myself? You know, what have I asked the buyer about what they're doing? Now, I will share with you, there's a dude named Chris Voss, and he wrote a negotiation book called Never Split the Difference. And he talks about why questions. So he says, like, look, ask who and what questions, not why questions. And so if you're doing the conversational thing to build rapport, you got some small talk going, you got to be careful about why questions, because they aggravate people. I will share with you, when people start asking me a bunch of why questions out of context, I'm like, oh my goodness, mommy, make the bad man stop, right? It does not work for me. So be aware. The meaningful thing that you're looking for when you're going into a sales slump, or if you're in a sales slump, is the thing that can crash your sales cycle, is the thing that can cause you a whole bunch of issues. And I see most people misdiagnose this. What they'll do is they'll just say, hey, why don't you just discount more? Hey, why don't you just give more stuff away? And that's not the problem. The problem is you get caught up in your world, your problems, your issues, instead of saying, what can we do to solve the problems that you're facing here today? And be aware that once this happens and you self-diagnose and start saying, how many questions am I asking the person that I'm meeting with about them versus how much you're talking about you, you start realizing, oh my goodness, I've lost a lot of deals because I was caught up in me. I was trying to make myself feel good. I was trying to self-soothe. I was trying to prove to the person that I'm a cool dude or a cool chick, when at the end of the day, to a large extent, they don't care. What they want is their problem fixed. What they want is their problem solved. What they want is to know that they've gotten a good part, piece, system, air cleaner, air scrubber. Be aware that your fears and your challenges in life can turn into a sales slump. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button. Click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. That was a 3. Or 3, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.